A gloom and doom day, but not for all. Some people got lucky today and broke out into some sunshine and temperatures that climbed up well into the 70s. We have, excuse me, we have some severe weather running around across the deep south tonight. And of course, we'll take a look at the tropics and the long range and anything else your little heart desires. All that more tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show. Brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York, and Southwest Suffolk County on Long Island, serving the entire New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, tri-state area with everything you need this upcoming winter. Snow plows, snow blowers, and of course, rock salt. They are Long Island's largest provider of rock salt, and if you can't find it where you are, you might want to drive into Long Island, pay the tolls. I know it's expensive, and pick up the rock salt at Omni. They've got the lowest prices anywhere. They still have plenty of mulch and topsoil, and of course, to make sure your home can stand up to adverse weather and you're protected, everything you need from generators to snow blowers for cleanup to sump pumps for flooding. It's all there. 631-756-1125 with the best prices not only in town but anywhere in the tri-state area. The website is
OmniTrueValue.com. Good evening, Mr. Cioffi.
Good evening, Mr. Rayo. That's Mr. Rayo is on the right tonight, and I am on the left. But we may not finish the show in those positions. Okay.
You feel a little shifty tonight? Is that why you want to shift back and forth, or
just a smidge, just a smidge? I might do something crazy, like flip us or something. I don't know.
I want to first of all give my vote of thanks to one of the constants here on the chat board, Ms. Spallerite, who defended me last night. I thought I was doing a good thing, Joe. I mentioned on my Facebook page that Renata and I had received our flu and booster shots. And so now we're all set for the upcoming winter season. And I said, here's hoping to all of you that you stay safe and healthy in the weeks and months to come. Well, wouldn't you know that some moron, I'll use a Bob Grant term here, some mutant, first of all called Ms. Spallerite Karen, couldn't even get the name right, and then said, can't you see that young people are dropping after the COVID poison is shot into them? I mean, what moron would say something stupid like that? But anyway, Ms. Spallerite came to my defense and let that person have it. Normally, I would, for something like this, I would just delete all comments in reference to the stupidity, but no, I'm not going to. She stood up for me in big time, and for all folks who did get their booster shot or their flu shot or even their RSV shot for young kids, young children, that too has begun to spread. Monkeypox, I don't care what it is, but back in the day when people were thinking logically and not politically, you got a shot. You got a shot for something that was known to be spreading throughout the area, and the shot was a vaccine that kept you, or tried to its best of its ability, safe. But then you got jerks like this guy on my making this comment last night on my Facebook page. But anyway, I want to thank Ms. Spallerite for standing up. I didn't even have to answer him. She more than took care of this nimnut with her comments. So thank you so much. I didn't even know. It's a good thing that she told me who she was, because on my Facebook page, she has a completely different name as opposed to Ms. Spallerite. But I'm not going to get into that. So.
Well, Karen is actually a reference. If you call someone a Karen, I don't know if you must have seen those posts from time to time.
No, I haven't. No, neither
really?
I did not. I did not, and Ms. Spallerite didn't know why she was being referred to as Karen. So I don't know why. I thought maybe he just had a mental, brain freeze or whatever. But no. So what does Karen mean then?
Okay, so a Karen is usually a woman. So how would I describe this without getting into too much trouble? So it's a woman who, if you're shopping at a store, okay, and something isn't right, she will immediately demand.
Hold on. Stop 1 moment. Moderators, get rid. Good.
I'll
Got rid of
take.
them.
I got rid of
Yeah,
them. They're all gone.
a number of more stupidity on our chat board it's all over, Joe. It's all over for this country. With each passing month, I see more and more, jerks stupidity on social media, whatever. And no sooner are we talking about one, but here comes another. Anyway, so continue about Karen.
A Karen is a woman who is obnoxious at a store. For example, she would ask for the manager, okay, and voice her complaint. She will bypass the person that might be trying to help her, and she will demand to see the manager, and she raises a fuss over the tiniest little thing. So those types of people are called Karens. So if someone is pushy, let's say, then you can, they say, oh, she's a Karen.
Oh,
of course,
right.
Now anyone named Karen probably hates the fact that this is what the internet has done. This is what social media has done to the name Karen.
Right.
All right. Well, you know what, Joe? It's how do I put this? This is a time where people feel the need to express their opinions about what you're doing, even though you don't ask for their opinions. How shall I? Is that kind of how it is? I mean, I think that's the thing. It's like it's none of your business.
It used to be, as I said, back in the day, let's say in the 1950s, when there was a polio vaccine, no one was yelling on radio, or then the early days of television, don't take that stuff. That's going to be terrible for you. Live with no one did. Now today, it's like every little thing. Regarding science is science. Let's put it this way: science overall is under attack, in my opinion. I mean,
I will just tell you, if you look back at the history, I'm just putting this out there. They didn't come on television, but there actually was an anti-polio vaccine of I don't want to call it movement, I guess, that was out there, and pretty much the way it usually works is I always say that the script of the play is always the same. The only thing that changes are the actors who read the parts. So this sort of stuff has happened before, and it's going to happen again.
But I don't understand. You said it defines a woman calling attention to herself, or a person who is constantly complaining to the store man. But that was not what Ms. Spallerite did. I made a comment that I and my wife got the booster shot and also got a flu shot, and she came back and said that's great news. I just got mine as well, and it's a good thing. And all of a sudden, this jerk is referring to the vaccine as putting poison into your body, and that just blows my mind. And the fact is, sorry to say, there are probably a large percentage of the American populace who actually believe that. Unbelievable.
Look, it's social media, Joe. People are empowered to say things on a keyboard that they would never say to your face. I mean, really, that's really what it boils down to. They got a keyboard in front of them. They don't have to say something to someone's face, because they probably would risk a fight, possibly a physical fight. So, but they do it behind a keyboard because you can't do anything about it, other than to respond with words. So, of course, somebody gets immediately attacked and called a Karen. I'll take care of the whole. Okay, thank you. The board's moving so fast, I can't hide the use. Look, bottom line is, as far as I'm concerned, these are the sorts of things that are between you, and when I say you, I mean the collective you and your physician, okay? Not Dr. Facebook, not Dr. Twitter, not any of that, okay? I have to speak to my doctor to find out whether, I can take those shots because I have an underlying pre-existing condition and taking medication that might interfere with that. So I'm going to talk to my doctor to see what he or she says with regards to what I'm going to do or not do, and that's just kind of how I view it. You want to take people have a choice. You want to get it. You don't want to get it, don't get it. I honestly I have no skin in the game. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and say one way or the other whether you're right or you're wrong. It's your business. Okay, I didn't ask for your. On the other hand, I'm not asking for anyone's opinion about what's good for me. So I really don't care. Honestly, I
Yep.
really don't care if someone thinks off of what I just said has a problem. That, too bad, so sad. Do you think I care? I don't. I've gotten to the point where I try not to even get involved in conversations with people many times because it's just why am I wasting my energy? And I'm thinking why am I giving up 2 minutes of my life in order to put in energy to respond to some bozo? So I just don't even care anymore. So anyway,
On
uh,
to weather.
yes, just real quick though, because Chuck Cardillo, I hope your son is doing better. Got some issues, and he's in hospital, and hopefully they can figure out what's going on. But we're all behind you, Chuck. Just let me know, what's happening. Um, okay, today, um, bizarre sort of day, Joe. In that uh, some people sat in low clouds and fog all day long with drizzle, and yet at the same time, and this applies to Long Island specifically, which broke out wide open from the first middle of the part of the morning, just broke out wide open in sunshine with temperatures that went up close to the 80-degree mark in some places. That was a surprise to me. I would have thought that the low clouds would have hung on. I thought maybe there could be some brightening. Maybe a couple places would see a break or two of sun for a brief time. But I'm looking at the satellite loop, and there's a solid cloud cover, and then there's this little island, and you can barely see any cloud cover at all on it around midday. It was quite incredible.
I made the comment yesterday about Sonny Pokes and made the joke about Sonny Fox, the former host of Wonderama. But I said, we might see a few Sonny Pokes. Well, guess what? One of those pokes was over my house early this afternoon for about a half an hour. The sky it wasn't just a poke. The whole cloud cover just split in two. The sun was out bright and shiny, and the temperature soared. I got to 76 degrees at 1:55 this afternoon. That was 6 degrees warmer than Central Park, I might add. And also down south of me in White Plains, or actually in Harrison, Westchester County Airport, they fell 3 degrees shy of the record for this date of 75 that was set back in 1963. Surprise, surprise. Now, I did, and I know you did too, Joe. We did say it would be an abnormally mild day out there with temps in the 60s to around 70. But add that sunshine, boom, everything went flying up, and it was amazing. But the thing that stopped me or prevented me from getting out the leaf blower, as I have a ton of leaves out there I've got to blow and mulch. The thing that stopped me was the knowledge of knowing that very shortly thereafter, and sure enough it did, clouds came right back in, and during the mid and late afternoon, there was some spotty light drizzle out there, moistening the ground, however slightly again. So we're expecting probably something similar to that, at least for the early part of the day tomorrow. Although once again, tomorrow I say, look out for some pokes or breaks of sunshine, and we may very well see temperatures again soar above 70 in some places. And the thing I'm concerned about tonight, Joe, and I'm really scratching my head and wondering why the National Weather Service in New York, or actually in Upton, or even the National Weather Service in Mount Holly, have not indicated any dense fog advisory for late tonight or early tomorrow morning. Now, the National Weather Service in Boston has indeed indicated for many areas, in fact, the entire state of Rhode Island, for example, underneath the dense fog advisory now. And I'm sure that as the night wears on and as the temperatures slowly cool, he says, the temperature throughout the area not likely to get below 60 tonight. The normal high temperature, the normal high at this time of the year is 55. The normal low is right around 37, 38. And tonight,
Whoa,
temps
whoa,
not
whoa,
getting
whoa,
much
whoa,
lower than
whoa, whoa,
60.
whoa, 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 whoa. Hold
Whoa,
on. Hold on. 55 is the normal high and 37 is the normal low? I think
the normal low in the Hudson Valley.
but 55 is too low. I think you
Really?
got, yeah, it's 55 might be like for mid-November, not for
right,
mid to late October.
I stand correct. It's not 55. It's 59. I've got the whole list here of highs. Now the normal low temperature, and this is for White Plains now. This is not for, let's say, where I live, but the normal low for White Plains is 39. Now these normals may have changed over the last several years or whatever, but this is what I've been relying on for years from my days at News 12. But all right, I mean, even if it's 59, my God, we're going for a low tonight of like 60 or 62, which is above the high for this time of the year. And the low temperature should be in the 40s or even the upper 30s. I'm going for a low tonight of 60. It's crazy, Joe.
No, I know, but it's not unheard of. And it was actually, those places that got into the sunshine today, it was everybody described it as tropical, and I would agree with that. By the way, while you were talking, I put up the satellite loop here that's up on the screen. This actually is a nighttime satellite loop that shows the low clouds and fog. And yeah, I was kind of surprised too. I thought that they would have put a dense fog advisory up, but if you notice, as we go past the sunset, the low clouds really start to show quite well. You see that one area that's from central PA down into eastern Virginia, North Carolina, that was basically there all day long. Long Island, low clouds came in, and you can see it just sitting now right over there, over Long Island, southern Connecticut, and over by you. Also, there's some higher cloud tops out offshore that are moving northward, so I wonder whether there might be a couple of showers that could back into southeastern New England and Long Island during the overnight. But I think the inland areas are going to just have the standard fog with light, patchy, very light rain or drizzle.
Yes.
They're pretty impressive, though. I mean, it's gotten socked in a hurry in a lot of places.
Absolutely. It's if it's not socked in yet. I told my wife goes out early in the morning, and she travels up north toward Hopewell Junction. I told her, I said, tomorrow morning, it may be one of those mornings where you may have a trouble seeing the end of the driveway, because dew point temperatures certainly are going to be very close to that ambient low temperature tonight. And thank you to Chuck Cardillo. Chuck Cardillo on the chat board, hitting super chat, along with
Brandon Doherty.
Other good friend Brandon Doherty, and fist bump. I was wondering what the chicken was pushing at. Fist bump from Brendan Doherty, and for Chuck Cardillo, he says, thank you so much for your support, Joe Cioffi and Joe Rayo. It means the world to me to know how much you care about your weather family. Yes, we care about everybody, especially all of our regulars, just like you, Chuck, who are on the board, and also sometimes coming up with some very interesting statistics in terms of weather for our location.
And I switched over to the regular satellite loop. So you really just said it all there, and you echo my sentiments. So we'll just switched over to the regular satellite loop, and you see the clouds that are offshore that are moving northward, the low clouds that are now back in along most of the coastal plain, and also some higher cloud tops back in western PA and Ohio. That's all ahead of the cold front, and as we widen out, we've got that signature on the satellite of a strong impulse in the upper atmosphere moving through Missouri and the stretched out arm that extends south across Tennessee and into Alabama. Now, This is the loop, by the way, with the lightning strikes. So it doesn't look. There was quite a bit of shower and thunderstorm activity a few hours ago when I looked at the radar, and I'm going to bring up the latest. Let me give this a quick refresh, but this is the latest radar. And yeah, I mean, there are some showers and some thunderstorms, particularly in northeastern Alabama, but I don't see any severe thunderstorm warnings that have been issued here. So the SPC had a slight risk continuing into tonight for Alabama. They actually scaled it way back from what it was because they had the slight risk all the way to northeast Georgia. Instead, now the marginal risk cuts into northeast Georgia. The slight risk is over Alabama and into Mississippi. And this line, and I was kind of surprised they had it as far east as they had, Joe, because it kind of looked to me like that line would peak in intensity and then before sundown, and then just pretty much fall apart as it was
Dissipate.
as it moves. Yeah. So I was kind of surprised that they had the risk area as wide as they did. Meanwhile, the radars up and down the East Coast from Maine to Florida are actually pretty silent. We've got just some light precip going on in Montana. That's probably mostly snow. Also some scattered precip, probably mostly snow, and maybe not even reaching the ground in parts of Colorado there. And
did you notice
some
also
heavy rain coming into
hope,
the Pacific Northwest.
Did you notice also on SBC that they had a little scallop of general thunderstorm activity over Long Island and part of southern New England?
For when? For tomorrow?
No, on the.
Oh yeah. I see.
Yeah. I mean, it's no big deal. I mean, it was not severe, but still, they were indicating that if you lived in southern New England or Long Island or actually in Connecticut, more than anything else, that you might hear a rumble or two of thunder. I don't know if anybody did, but
I think they're looking at for that area. I'm thinking it's going to be overnight because there is a little arm that comes back westward from what's going on out in the Atlantic. If we take a look on the wider satellite view, that spinning system that they were watching for tropical cyclone development is this, it's about the size of a pea sitting out there well east of the North Carolina coast, and there's some moisture there that's just sort of backing northwestward. So I think maybe they put it in that something might come through during the overnight. WPC's 7-day rainfall, by the way, is going for, now this takes us through next Tuesday night. So this is probably going to cover most of the next weather system, which probably won't be until Monday into Tuesday of next week. But they've got anywhere from a half inch to as much as an inch and a quarter being indicated from Delaware and Maryland northeastward all the way up into Maine. Also, a bit busy with rainfall in parts of the deep south with anywhere from a half inch to as much as an inch and a half. And a clobbering of rain continuing to be forecast for the Pacific Northwest. So it looks like they're going to be very busy. A lot of troughing going on in the western part of the United States. And as for snow, at least through the next 72 hours, this is the probability of at least 2 inches. And you can see it's not showing very much. Western Colorado, parts of western Wyoming, northwest Idaho, and in the Cascades up in Washington. Let me just see how high they go. If we go to probability of 8, what do we get? I mean, just barely a couple of dots of low probability of 8, except for that small area up in northwestern Washington state. So from that standpoint, from the snow standpoint, after the snowstorm that they had up in the northern Rockies a couple of days ago, things have calmed down. So while I get the GFS ready, Joe, your opinion on where the weather is going overall in the next 3 or 4 days in general for the East?
Well, in general, I think once this front moves on through tomorrow night, we're on our way toward a stretch of very nice weather here in the northeastern part of the country. In fact, Thursday looks like a gorgeous day. I will not be as warm as what we saw, let's say, today or what we may see tomorrow. But I think temperatures on Thursday, mid-60s or upper 60s in a few places, along with bright blue sunny skies. and a bit of a gusty breeze. The wind at times on Thursday in the afternoon, especially, will be blowing at speeds in excess of 20 miles an hour. But nonetheless, it will be a wonderful day. Now, Friday, I think the only drawback to Friday is that we're going to see a lot of high clouds. The cirriform will be widespread throughout much of the northeastern part of the country. So we'll be seeing, maybe you could call it filtered sunshine, and a bit cooler, but still not bad for this time of the year, low 60s, mid 60s. And it looks like a very nice weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Unfortunately, for all the trick-or-treaters out there, I know you'll make a comment about this, Joe, we have a system coming up from the south on Monday, and that may actually gather up a little bit of moisture from offshore, and that may bring a wet Halloween to a good part of the Northeast on Monday. In recent years, we've had, dry but rather chilly Halloweens, but while it will be mild by the standards of the end of October, it will also be, I'm sorry to say, rather cloudy and rather wet. So that's the payment we're going to make probably on a stretch of maybe 4 beautiful weather days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and even on into Sunday before the weather goes south on us on Monday.
Well, I just have two things to say about Halloween. I don't stay home on Halloween, so I don't have to deal with those sugar fiends as they come to as they want me to basically redistribute my income among them by giving them all this candy, and you go to the movies. I used to go to the movies on Halloween during the afternoon. You have the whole theater to yourself, and you can avoid all the nonsense. I lived in a development where it was very little traffic, so people would come from all over and trick or treat in our development. So, it was nice. It was fun to see especially the little kids dressed up in costume. But now that I live in the mountains, I might get Buddy Ebsen coming to my door to trick or treat, but that's just that's about it. Meanwhile, here's what Joe was talking about. So here's our system for tomorrow. As wound up as this low is tonight, the support kind of gets lost. The low just runs up into Canada. The ocean low that the Hurricane Center was watching just sort of gets absorbed in all this and lifts northward, brings some rain to Maine and maybe a little bit of rain to southeastern New England. Then that goes away. Here comes the big high. The only thing I would disagree with you a little bit on is maybe the temperatures on Friday. I think it's going to be cooler. It'd probably not get much out of the 50s because of the high to the north and the northeast wind. So I'm going to just nudge your temperatures down a bit. But I do agree on the idea that the weekend should be okay. We do see the models continuing to try to develop a low off the Florida coast, but it just meanders there. There's no real push to send it in any particular direction. And also the fact from the standpoint of it being tropical, one of the things it's going to have to deal with is the fact that high to the north, unlike what we have now, this high to the north is a cool, dry high. So there's going to be dry air that's going to try to get involved in the circulation of this, and that might keep it from developing much beyond, say, a minimal tropical storm or just maybe a tropical depression. We'll have to see what NHC does with it anyway. And you can see another low, another disturbance from the Pacific Northwest on Wednesday, coming in Wednesday, dropping southeastward. By Friday, it's in Texas. By Saturday, it's moving across the Gulf states. The high is kind of holding it back. And then it starts to lift up northeastward. Low goes up the west side of the Appalachians. The high goes out. And then we get into that rain that Joe described sometime Monday afternoon into Monday night. The ocean low gets absorbed by that. I think that makes sense. And the models are trying to make that low hang around, Joe, off the mid-Atlantic coast for a couple of days. So there'll be some question as to how much weather improvement, if any, we'll see after Monday, because if that low does wind up hanging around, it could be problematic. And as far as the long, I haven't really looked at this too closely, but why don't we just bring up the upper air?
I did say, Joe, by the way, on my forecast for Thursday, I said bright and sunny breezy, unseasonably mild, highs within a degree or two, 65, northwest winds gusting to over 20. And then for Friday, yeah, I agree with you. I've short-term memory failure. Instead of saying low to mid 60s, I should have said what I actually put on Facebook. Sunshine veiled by high, thin clouds, and cooler with a high temperature peaking within a degree or so of 58. So
Okay,
yes,
then
so
that
we are
makes
in
sense.
agreement.
Okay.
Upper 50s. Same for Saturday too. Upper 50s to near 60, mostly sunny. Low 60s on Sunday, and then possibly wet, especially later in the day on Monday when all the little scalawags. When was the last time you heard somebody use that word? Scalawags in their costumes running around trying to grab as many pieces of candy as they possibly could get. 62 on Halloween Monday, near or slightly above normal, but again, possibly a bit on the cloudy and wet side for Halloween 2022.
Well, the overall pattern seems to be in a bit of a transition here, mostly troughing in the west, mostly ridging in the east, for a little while anyway. And then the models seem to want to shift the trough back into the east as we move into November. Not that the first days of November, but perhaps just a little bit past that, suddenly dropping troughs down into the eastern part of the United States later on, and say in the first week of November. We'll see how it plays. The other thing is, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this system, in the Caribbean that the GFS keeps bubbling up. It's still there, and it's in the Hurricane Center actually recognizes this. But today, on this particular run, it decides to take it straight westward because it builds a ridge in the Gulf of Mexico and in the southeastern part of the United States, and basically takes it west into Central America. So who knows? I mean, it's too far out to really get too involved in all of that. So it's not a short-term issue, and we'll just leave it at that.
So look, the margin of error for where this potential tropical system will be in the first week of November is anywhere from Central America to somewhere a few hundred miles east of Florida.
Yeah, something
So
like
somewhere in that zone is where we may see a tropical system. So who knows?
And on the Hurricane Center's new 2-day forecast, we have the low that's up east of North Carolina. That tiny little thing is now 10 and 10%, so we don't care. The X that's north of Hispaniola is the system that will eventually try to develop east of the Florida coast. So right now they're going 10 and 30 on that one. And on the 5-day, they have the one in the Caribbean here at 0 and 20, saying that environmental conditions are forecast to be conducive for gradual development as the low moves generally west or west northwest into the central Caribbean by the end of the weekend. So you know what? We'll give it another day or two before we get too involved in any of that stuff. Hang on, I'm going to bring us back full screen, and we could do a little the second half of Briller Jeopardy from last night. We only got through 5 cities, so now I'm back. And just checking to see here. No additional super chat hits. Okay, so that's good. So, what's the matter?
Nothing. I'm just reading the chat here, the chat board.
Oh, okay. Mine's
People
going.
Talking about candy.
Mine's catching up because I had it hit behind the screen, so mine's catching up and moving at 100 miles an hour. Okay. So I know exactly, Bill. That's narrowing it down. There's no point in trying to figure it out. There's just too many variables to deal with at this point. So on that note, let us now go to
Anthony Orr. Anthony Orr is just hit super chat. Thank you very much, Anthony.
And Anthony's one of our contributors here. He comes up, finds all these wonderful hurricane facts and shares them with me, and I share them with everybody else. And he puts a lot of work into that, and big thank you to Anthony as always.
And let's not forget David. Fuller. He has hit super chat, and we did mention them, dear. The executive producer wants me to mention Chuck Cardillo, which we already have. Did we mention Leon Probitsky? If not, Leon, thank you for hitting super chat. The executive producer thanks you too. And I'm taking a look at Leon's little icon And guess what, Joe? Tonight on his super chat icon, he has Jack LaLanne.
Oh, very good.
Jack LaLanne jumping up and down and saying yippee. So,
by the way, Renata, if you haven't played Wordle yet today, when you play it, I'll just tell you this: the answer is obvious, okay? And I'm just going to leave it at that. So we will continue with yesterday's Briller Jeopardy, which is which of the following cities what is the average date of the first inch of snow? The average date of the first inch of snow, and we begin tonight, Joe, with Bismarck, North Dakota.
Where we, of course, know is where Raccoon National Cemetery is in Bismarck, North Dakota. And if you, for example, are named Raccoon of the Year, when you die, you officially will get buried in Bismarck, North Dakota Raccoon National Cemetery. And as far as the first date of 1 inch of snow, I am going to say that it should have happened already. I'll say October the 15th.
And you say October the 15th. And the on the chat board, we have various dates from Leon's October the 5th and Helen Bertona's October the 7th. Craig Carlberg says October 31st. Howard Hassel just says November. So Bismarck for Johnny Sachs was November 5th. Anthony, not Anthony Orr, but Anthony, Orange A. Anthony, says October 25th. So does Christopher Alley, says October 25th. Chuck Cardillo said October 29th. Michael McGuire at October 18th. Tim says November 29th. Tyler Fenga, October 13th. And Steve Lapointe just hit Super Chat tonight. $3 doesn't even get you 2 cups of coffee. That's correct. And hit the like button. Under video, you cheapskates, he says. Doesn't cost you anything. Oh, that made my day. And Mark G says October 31st. I'm going to end the suspense here, Joe. It's Bismarck, North Dakota is October the 26th. October the 26th.
What did I say?
You said, I think, the 30th.
No, I think it said the 25th.
No, I don't think you did. I think I would have reacted if you said the 25th.
Oh, all right.
But you came also close to winning the $50 gift certificate from the famous Spiegel Catalog Company.
Catalog Company.
Right, Spiegel, Chicago, Illinois.
60609.
60609. Albuquerque, New Mexico. The place where Bugs Bunny always should have turned left.
And the place where Ethel May Potter was a local celebrity.
Ethel May Potter, we never forgot her.
Not her.
That, by the way, that particular episode is one of my favorite episodes.
Oh yeah, with Fred walking back and forth with that ever-growing palm tree or spike plant or whatever.
Hold on.
Yes.
Can you see it?
I'm running a bit behind.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll do it the way Fred Mertz did it.
Oh.
Those are I got 3 avocado trees and I brought them inside because of the freeze. So anyhow, not that there's a freeze tonight because it's 60 outside. Wait, that was gotten to the mid 70s today. Okay, so Albuquerque. Let's see. Okay, it's in November, so I'll just give you that much. Joe.
Yeah, all right.
Guess.
Give me a chance to ponder this. You know. I don't know. November 20th.
November 20th. And Joe wins the $50 gift certificate from the famous Spiegel Catalog Company, Spiegel, Chicago, Illinois, 60609.
Was it November 20th?
November 20th. Yes, it was. You hit it on the nose.
Amazing.
And Helen Bertona just hit Super Chat tonight. Thank you, Helen. Most appreciated. hitting super chat. Okay, so actually, Anthony asked, never understood that whole thing with the plant. So there's nothing really much to understand other than the fact that every time he walked the plant across, it grew like 6 feet. So that was, I think, the point, because they had this comedy routine going on, and he was walking behind them with this tree that just would grow 6 feet every time until it got so big that he could barely carry it. I just thought, the whole thing is just preposterous. But I love that's my favorite episode. It really is. Okay, so the next question. The next one is for those of you who have watched Portlandia, which is a very funny show. It's a parody about Portland, Oregon. I've watched it. It's hilarious. Portland, Oregon, Joe. Portland, Oregon. What say you? And hold on, let me just write it. Let me just write it on the board so that I'm not confused. Portland, Oregon is next.
Oh, what I would have to say, Portland, Oregon, and I don't think they would get a whole lot of snow because of their proximity to the Pacific Ocean. I'll say December 15th.
Leon Probitsky said December 2nd. David Fuller also said December 15th. Helen Bertona said December 13th. Craig Kahlberg, November 10th. Northern Grace, December 20th. Debbie Carroll, December 1st. Patrick Darcy, December 23. Mark D, December 17th. See the Whole Truth, January 2nd. James Volpe, December 28th. Adam Lowe, the 23rd. Okay. I'm closing the bidding on Portland. Tommy Clams at December 28th. Joe, December 26th.
Wow.
December 26th is the first snow. Now the next one is hold on. I got to type it on the board here. Marquette, Michigan.
Marquette.
Marquette, Michigan. Marquette, Michigan. Marquette, Michigan.
How about November 1st for them?
Hold on. I've gotten so bad I can't even keep a thought in my head. I got to write everything down now. Okay, so you say November 1st for Marquette. Rick B says December 30th. No, that's just a smidge late. Johnny Sachs, November 2nd. Leon Probitsky says October 6th. Helen Bertona, October 3rd. November 5th for Frank Gilroy. November 1st for Steve LaPointe. Howard Hassel, November 3rd. Mark D, October 25th. Tim, December 2nd. November 17th for... Okay, now the board's moving for Frank Riccio. Patrick Darcy. Patrick Darcy gets it at October 13th. What's so funny? What?
I'm watching the segment that we were talking about.
Oh,
I Love Lucy. You forgot about the part with the tug of war.
The tug of war. Yes, that's hysterical.
Man-eating tiger.
Right, man-eating tiger. I mean, these were all like silly old vaudeville routines.
And I don't even need the audio. I don't even need. All I could do is just watch.
Or
Lucy balancing plates in one hand.
Right. Yeah. Or what about when she's sewing her fingers?
Right. That's right. We couldn't show this, could we? It would be a copyright infringement or something. Sorry to say.
Yes. Okay. Next one. The last one for tonight, Joe. The last one is.
Yeah.
Hold on, I got to write it down. Reno, Nevada. Reno, Nevada.
Reno, I would say, would be. How about November? Reno. November 22nd.
Craig Carlberg says December 25th. Johnny Sachs, December 12th. Helen Bertona, November 27th. Just trying to. Frank Riccio says November 13th. See the whole truth, November 21st.
I just put on the chat board the link in case it will not link. You have to physically copy the URL, but if you copy it and then go on whatever internet browser you're using, you'll be able to see what I'm talking about with the YouTube of the I Love Lucy episode.
And by the way, the whole point of it is all of that is going on behind Vivian Vance, who is giving what she thinks is a solo performance in front of her hometown audience. She doesn't know that they're behind her. Okay.
Right.
William Uber says November 16th. Just so close, so close. November 15th, Michael Lazara wins the gift certificate from the famous Spiegel Catalog Company. I don't even know if the Spiegel Catalog Company even exists anymore. But if they did, they're in Chicago, Illinois, 60609.
Right. And Christopedia, I understand. I know I can't post a link if I'm not an administration or a moderator person.
I can post a link.
But all you need to do is just see the URL that I posted, copy it, and you can then go from there. Just so you go one or two extra steps as opposed to having something as easy as a link, an actual link there. But it is funny. I haven't seen that in a good number of years. And so when I started, just looking at it, the not the audio, but just the video or the visual, it's funny. It is so. Why isn't that show on? The Honeymooners are on Channel 11 and MeTV, but I Love Lucy is totally gone now. Have they just figured like it's run its course or whatever? I don't understand.
No, somebody else is carrying it. I don't remember what channel it is, but somebody else is carrying it. And I think you could find it on it's certainly on Amazon. It's on Hulu and a bunch of other places.
But I mean, you don't even have to do that now. You just go on YouTube and type in. I didn't know what the actual name of the episode is, but I simply said, "I Love Lucy." Fred grows a plant in Albuquerque, and that's all I typed.
All I typed was Lucy Albuquerque.
Right, and automatically the algorithm or whatever finds it for you, and there it is. And it's not the whole show, but it's the part that we're talking about, that 4-minute segment, which is hysterically funny. In fact, there's some guy who I guess plays the reviewer of plays and theaters in Albuquerque in the show, and he says that was the funniest bit that he's ever seen, either on or off Broadway. And I would agree with him. That was a hysterically funny bit.
Yeah. Well, I put the link up there so everybody can link to it.
There you go.
You really sort of have to watch the whole episode because the whole thing was the fact that they were going to do a show together, and then Ethel was just going to decided that she was just going to do a solo, and they got, the others got upset, and that's how they exacted their revenge.
Well, she even said they asked her, said, "Do you want to do a show with us?" And she said, "Well, I considered it, but I don't think so. In other words, I'm doing it all by myself. The heck with all of the rest of you." So.
Exactly. Scott Briller hitting super chat. Thanks for these questions, Scott, on the 1-inch snowfall. We had a nice challenging question, and I think everybody enjoyed it. So on that note, let us call an end to tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show and remind everybody that we'll be on tomorrow night at 7:35 Eastern Time.
Howard Hassel, it's not Talking with Ed. It's Mr. Ed. He says, "I'm too young for this. All I know is Dennis the Menace and Talking with Ed." Wilbur. All right.
Nighty-night.
Nighty-night all. We'll see you tomorrow night, 7:35. I'll be there. Just make sure you're there.